It's the start of game turn 9 here up the game of Narvik. I think my last video was of game turn 3. And you can see a lot has been happening here. These are the units that have been lost. Not so many are German. The majority are Norwegian or Allied. And just to illustrate what's been happening is here we have an Allied depot. Now they're not like supply sources which the Germans can move around. These are immobile, they're depots, so they stay in the port where they enter. They can be bombed with strategic bombing factors, and 2 of them were taken out. 3 hits and they're gone. But perhaps even more than that, as we have here a headquarters, and a headquarters. That's a whole regiment. Sorry, I say regiment, I mean brigade. So German headquarters are divisions. These are the Allies have them in brigades. So we have 3 whole Allied brigades have been taken out, and those are on defender eliminated results, which are not always that common. We have also had Norwegian headquarters taken out there. These are Norwegian units which did not make it in mobilisation roles. So those are mobilisation centres that have been taken out by the Germans. And so you can see, according to that, a lot's been happening. Let's have a look at the victory point chart. Now, at the end of turn 3, it was about 30 points. So all those losses of Allied units, each battalion is -2 victory points. So the Germans have managed to bring it down to 18 victory points to the Allies. But however, if the game stopped here, the Allies would still have a decisive victory, because the game state is, can we still see if I turn out that? Yes, that's much better. The game state is this. So here the Allies lost a whole brigade here, and the Germans have finally taken the airfield there. They had brought up 2 whole divisions for that. Then the Allies lost a division from here, so I think they lost their supply depot here and here, which meant that these units were out of supply, and the German division there took out an Allied division there. We have German. Now there was some conflict here between the French and the German mountain troops around here, which sent the German troops scuttling around. They were aiming to come around the back here. It's not necessary now. The French and the Allied side, and then the Norwegians, they're holding the base here. The Norwegians have essentially formed a line here, so they managed to sort of hold on. Last we saw they'd come in here, so they've been gradually fought back all these turns. They're holding a line here to keep the Allies from this area. They still have Trondheim well in hand. That's the French depot for them here, and the French the Allied depot for this brigade here. So if they can keep hold of these to the end of the game, that will deny, well, that will give them 100 victory points. I can see we're over halfway, just over halfway. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns left. So although a lot this down here has been happening in victories, tactical victories, strategically not so much. We've just got that airfield. There's 2 airfields here, but still there's an airfield there and there's an airfield there we don't have. We need to take these ports, port here, these ports here, and this to keep those 100 victory points from the Allies. So I'm kind of ambivalent. I'm actually a bit worried for the Germans. Although they've been having a lot of tactical success, I'm not sure they're going to be able to get all the way up here. The Allies have... they lost 2 divisions over here. So they have 2 brigades over here. So they have nothing. So the Allies will be able to motor up, take this and this in short order. It's just how quickly can they get past the roadblocks. Again, this will be taken quickly, but then they need to move up. They need to take this and then Trondheim. Will they manage to do that within 7 turns? You can see it's taken the whole of the game so far for the Norwegians just to be fought back this far. To be fair though, originally there was only 1 division of Germans against them. There's still only one division and sundry other forces plus Air Force units. So the Germans have been concentrating this direction. As soon as they've done that, then they will go up there. Will they have enough time? I don't know. They're going to have to maybe scoot units across there. Maybe even send some folks in by boats, which is very risky. So yes, a lot's been happening. They have knocked out a lot of the Allied Air Force, so they don't have many planes left at the moment. And so the Germans have been sort of occupied with either bombers or fighters. They've had to have fighters here to keep these protected. And this, which was that original float plane plan, that's never opened up. That they've been protected as though that's still a viable option, is to send units up to the port of Narvik. But that's not a viable option anymore. So I'm not sure what we're going to be bringing into these two airports at the moment. It's still really, we want bombers and fighters. We still don't really have enough airport for transportation, at least not permanent, although I perhaps should have been using the extended range, which I should look into more. So anyway, we've now got that airfield, so there'll be more moving up there. But over here up at Narvik, things are not looking good. You see the French landed another mountain brigade here, and also Norwegian mountain units coming up in force, reinforcements coming on, which meant that the Germans here, they only have one supply, so they can, actually I think I can airdrop supply, perhaps I should do that. They can't attack, they can only stay in general supply, or else if they spent that for attack supply, they would be out of general supply the next turn. But anyway, they've relinquished Narvik for the time being and gone into the mountains, because there was a big war sort of forming up here that they said, okay, we'll fight against the mountain troops, but we're not willing to fight against mountain troops and normal troops up there. So they've vacated Narvik, which means those float planes will never be able to make it up now. So I don't know if I'm looking at leaving this to the Allies. I mean, if the Germans are lucky, they could hold on enough to be in the vicinity of within 1 hex of Narvik to deny that those 100 VPs, but it's not very likely. So it's looking like the Germans will have to give that up to the Allies and concentrate just on taking here, which would mean if victory points sort of stay steady, the Allies would get 100 plus they're on 19, that would be 119. They would get a marginal Allied victory. So we can see that if the Germans leave Narvik, they're going to have to destroy a lot more Allied forces to give them a victory. The Norwegian forces don't do it, they garner no victory points. So that is the state of play at the moment. It's been a swift game, and I'm beginning now to doubt my strategy again. I'm beginning to wonder about if Narvik is always a losing proposition, or if not, if another strategy could be done. What I've found that both my games is that it's very slow to break out from here. This is the obvious place to transit in troops by boat, because the Germans have control of the seas here. It's much safer. But the breakout from there is slow. It might be better to bring units in, spread the Norwegian needs out. So, you know, land troops, Narvik, here on the first turn. Okay, they won't be very powerful forces, but it means the Norwegians will not be able to sort of focus on defending here and here solely. So that's the state of play. Supplement to what I just mentioned before, I just want to note the combat results table. If you have a look on the far right there, 6 to 1 column, the die roll 1 to 6. So we have from 1 to 6. You can see defender eliminated half the time, but there's a half exchange once, no effect, and defender retreat. So even at very high odds, there's no guarantee of eliminating your defender. Either they might slip away, or they might just remain there, or on a half exchange they will be eliminated, but you will lose half of your forces, or it's just clean, they are gone. So you can see that this is how the Allied brigades got eliminated, but you can see it's not a dead cert. There were many occasions when they slipped away, or it was no effect before we got the eliminations on them, despite the fact, you know, that the I have absorbed all the divisional units in nearly all of my divisions, so we got huge divisions up against single brigades, which may only be, like here, 2 or 3 units, so sort of 9 strength combat factors. Against here we've got, well, that's at least 4 to 1. There's even more that could go. Some of the 214th, no, that's not true. I think all the surviving 214th are in there, but you get the picture. Even at massive odds, there's no dead cert, so it means that a German divisional steamroller is not necessarily going to do its job as quickly as you might like, and it could suffer horrendously as it does it as well. There's a chance of that. So it's something to bear in mind, and something I think that I should have done with the Allies perhaps is that have surrendered some of their units. Those are all, where those star markers are, those are all just completely destroyed brigades or headquarters. But for example, here maybe what I would do is say leave 2 of those in headquarters and put the other one behind, just to act as a speed bump, so that even if and when that one gets eliminated, there's still something left to defend, instead of leaving these wide open gaps that has happened. Here you see I've already started the 9th turn. Last thing I just wanted to mention in relation to the game state at the end of the 8th turn was that these are some assets, but apart from that, we have 2 brigades that could have come on, but I have not actually brought them on. They could have come on the 7th turn, but the situation was that the Allies were really unsure. They didn't really have enough force brigade-wise against, like here, in fact, we've got 3 German divisions. Is there any point in putting more brigades into that meat grinder just to get churned up? So at the moment they're holding off, ready hopefully to dive in at a certain point. They're going to have to do it quite quick because, for example, the Germans decide, aha, we're going to go and put a couple of units up there. But so they're thinking, where are we going to move in? That is where the Germans are weak. So they're just holding off for a minute, and I think realistically they're not going to be holding off for long, unless one thing that could happen is that I have to see how possible it is for the Allied forces to completely withdraw from the south of Norway, and then to fortify themselves up here. So essentially to say, okay, we're going to keep that for 100 victory points, and then you're not going to get any more victory points for taking out our units. And so we'll still win a decisive victory at the end of the game, even though we will be leaving you this part of Norway. I suppose that in the bigger picture, that essentially means that the Germans don't complete their conquest of Norway, and so it's an ongoing thing, and that they'll need to move divisions out from there for their invasion of France. They would want to only be leaving garrisons, not leave a going concern. What's the, you know what I mean. So I just wanted to note that about the combat results table, and also the Allied quandary there.